Happy 2026. We made it. What a year. Oh, I want to take a deep breath and acknowledge that whatever you had to confront in yourself, in the world, in your relationships, on any level, you made it here. And that's no small feat. Many people checked out over 2025, and I do not judge them for doing so. And here we are. We have work to do. We have an assignment, or we wouldn't be here. So welcome to my channel. My name is Kenlyn, and I love to use astrology as a way of navigating this kind of threshold crossing and chaos. It's just one of many of the maps that I use. And so today we're going to pick up where that full moon leaves off. We are still in that Capricorn Cancer axis. And if you listen to that full moon video, then you'll know where this is playing out in your chart. And it's really important because things are shedding in that area of your chart and new seeds are being planted with this most benefic and important triple conjunction in Capricorn. This triple conjunction is rare. It usually doesn't involve the sun. And it's a completion of something that started in January of 2025 with the Venus retrograde. Venus is direct now. She's in her full glory, and she's being consumed, eaten up by the sun. As Mars is also combusting in the sun, I look at them both along the lines of the mythological tale of Inanna and the descent into the underworld and the disrobing of the things that they identify with. And these are personal planets. So they're mirroring out there what's happening in here. And if we can make that alive for our conscious awareness, then we can get alongside of it. We can see what's really happening instead of interpreting things in a loop that has you, the personality, at the center of it. But really, the sun is the center. This solar center is our soul, our conscious awareness, the who and what we really are. And if you remember from my new moon transmission, that sits in the all, the dark matter of the monad. And so as we die to personality, which there was a lot of that going on over here in 2025, we start to live more from the soul. And that's really what these teachings are all about, why I'm even here. And this Capricorn stellium is hitting in my 9th house. I'm having a God moment. And I really am. My teacher passed on the 24th of December on the winter solstice. And that really opened up further what had opened up with that new moon in Sagittarius conjunct the galactic center. And so those things are happening to you in an area of your chart that represents the tension of Jupiter in Cancer retrograde opposing this stellium of the sun, Venus, and Mars. Mercury has now entered Capricorn, thank the goddess, gotten out of all those squares with Saturn and Neptune that made the holidays have this quality of, for me, mental looping, which I really had to just go inward so that I stopped doing that and not be delusional and thinking that my words could change anything. And that going inward supported me in even further gnosis of what's happening in this 9th house, my inner 9th house, my inner God house, my philosophy that wants to be made real in the 3rd house. And that Uranus in the 1st house, when there's a trine, and I'll show you all of this on the map and then you can relate it to yourself, that trine will make it real for my identity, for who I am in this earth school. So you see there's a symphony happening right now, and the symphony is playing beautiful music. And the music is of our desires and our will. Or we could say it as the divine feminine and the divine masculine inside of us coming into this unity in this triple conjunction. The sun is highlighting the masculine and the feminine in each of us. Those principles of how we have been doing it, how far we've come, because some people didn't even know that they had the divine feminine inside of them, or they repress the divine masculine, or whatever games we have played to avoid being confronted by an energy that wants to live and move and have its being through us. And so as we play the game of soul more than the game of personality, we are able to say, not my will, but thy will be done. And you can't say that unless you have gone through and become a personality, because other than that, it's just martyrdom. it's self-sacrifice, and that's not what's being required. It's really full consent. It's full choice. So that's why we spend building up our lives in the first half of our life. We build it up and we build it up and we build it up. And the ego gets really built up of how successful, how amazing, how this, how that. And then your Uranus opposition hits and nothing works anymore. Or you become massively dissatisfied at the things you've built up. So be careful following people who are before the age of 42, because they're in that success phase, they're in that build phase that will ultimately have a reckoning. 42 to 45 years old, there's some kind of reckoning that happens because the soul wants to live through you. And that's a choice. We don't have to choose that. So that's the landscape, the bigger picture of what's actually happening here this week as we look at this triple conjunction, this Venus and Mars cazimi in the heart of the sun being combusted and shedding old desires that are no longer relevant. They're just not what I desire anymore. We've been talking about this, and now is the reckoning moment. We're not at that 0 degrees of Saturn and Neptune and stepping into the new world. We're still in the shedding. And this week is part of a seed planting week that we'll see the fruits of in March as Jupiter stations direct and the sun moves into Pisces, and that trine with Jupiter starts to make real, to bloom the things that are being planted this week. So chances are you're going to be making some decisions. Mars has a sword and he likes to cut and sever. Venus has her jewels and her desires for pleasure, but all of them are getting a review because some of our desires are not leading the soul where the soul wants to be. And so Mars will do its job to cut and sever, but in service to this divine feminine, because she's the heartbeat and the pulse of the desires that drive us forward. And the sun is illuminating the picture. So we're going to get more conscious awareness of what we're moving into. And it's been a buildup, right? From that new moon in Sagittarius, conjunct the galactic center. That's why these transmissions build on each other. This is an ongoing symphony, not disparate pieces. And so in January, which is an intensely active month, we're preparing ourselves for Aquarius season. And I'm going to show you in my beautiful software that I just got at the end of the year, how that looks. That might illuminate some of you that are more visual. Here we have a stellium in Capricorn, and it's opposing Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. You don't have to look at the clock faces because this is set for an Aries rising. And just for convenience, we'll keep it here. So on this day, January 5th, the sun, 15 degrees, Venus, 15, and Mars at 16 degrees. We have Mercury here at 6 degrees. And then I'm also highlighting Uranus in Taurus retrograde at 27 degrees. And then here's our Jupiter retrograde at 20 degrees. So if we progress, we're seeing that the sun and Venus are staying together. So even the day before, they're operating as one. Venus is under the beams of the sun. You can't see her. She's invisible. Mars is invisible. That's why these are dark seed planting times. They're behind the sun. The sun is illuminating this Jupiter. So it's acting like a full moon. And so you can think of what happens in a full moon. Things come to our conscious awareness. And Jupiter here is retrograde, exalted in Cancer, receiving codes that expand your inner sense of abundance, your inner teacher, your inner guru. These are inward times. And in March, we've got Jupiter direct. So that's when we'll start to be making it real, be putting it into action. So it's not like this week you're going to have the new opportunity, perhaps, but it's that you're going to get aligned with something that's going to put you in a new direction. And it's been brewing. You've been feeling it. You've been making way for it. You've been doing the work for it. So let's continue on. Here we have 16 degrees and 17 degrees. And then now on the 7th of January, they're at 17 degrees. a perfected triple conjunction opposite this Jupiter at 20 degrees, just 3 degrees off. That counts as an opposition. And so there's a tension here. And we talked about this at the full moon, because the full moon here was co-present with Jupiter, and it was on the dog star Sirius. So bringing in a new level of wealth. But the wealth is going to come from something that is changed inside of you. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. It's a new desire. You are not who you used to be. So if this is you and it's in your career house, something is shifting about how you want to do your career. And it's an intention with this benefic Jupiter, this wise inner guru in your private life, in your heart, speaking to you. And it could also be in your home life. Something in your home life is causing this Capricorn stellium to plant the seeds of a new structure, of a new mountaintop. Or it's giving you the okay that the mountaintop that you are aiming for, that you choose to ascend, is something that you want to do, that it's worthy of doing, that's worthy of your life force. I like to say, what hill are you willing to die on? You've got to know that in order to have meaning and purpose in your life. What is the hill that you're willing to die on? The reason why I do these transmissions, it's because it involves a hill that I'm willing to die on. So let's look a little bit more. So that's the 7th of January. Now we look at the 8th of January, and don't worry about the clock faces. You see that the Venus is on the other side of the sun, and they're tightening in on this opposition with Jupiter. And right here on this 9th of January, we've got pretty much an exact opposition. And then as we move forward, these degrees are going to keep moving as they transition out of Capricorn. And we'll just go far enough here to Venus is 27 degrees, and now it is trining Uranus. Venus is bringing that to Uranus, and Uranus is causing the breakthrough. I like to draw a wheel and plot the houses, starting with my rising sign in the first house, and then you can see where the play is happening. And then guess what happens? Let's just cheat a little bit and go forward. Oh, and then we have Venus crossing over to 0 degrees of Aquarius on the 17th, and it's conjunct Pluto right here. So now we got Pluto in the mix at 3 degrees of Aquarius. Wowza. So all of this structure, we can say on a metaphoric level, is being brought into the new innovation. What is now worthy? What am I carrying with me? What deserves to be put into form? And then Pluto, it has to go through the sifting of the Lord of death and rebirth. Okay, Pluto, here's what I got. Here's what I came up with. What do you think? Is it innovative enough? Is it of the future enough? Is it evolved enough? Or are you going to kill it and something new gets to be reborn? So that's the play that's happening. And we're certainly in this collective death and rebirth process. You know that Pluto's in Aquarius. It's going to take him till 2044 to move through every degree point in Aquarius, offering us this deep opportunity to become a civilization, a community, a brotherhood and sisterhood that we have never seen before. And these are the seeds. So we'll talk more about this in the 7 threshold crossings that I'll drop likely this week or early next week, so that you can start to align yourself with rituals around these thresholds. And these thresholds represent something different at each one of them, because we don't know where we're going. We don't know who we're becoming. We don't even know what we're capable of. The story that we've been operating in is highly limited. And so as a necessary rite of passage that we could say, we are in the mythological realm of Inanna. As Mars and Venus come into the light of the sun, into their own death process, where they must take off their crowns. And I think about Mars, he's got to take that sword and he's got to give it over. And Venus, she's got all of her beautiful jewels, you know, and she's so beautiful, she has to take them off. And then they have to disrobe as they descend into their journey of unbecoming and becoming. And you can imagine the conversation that they're having being lit up by the sun. I mean, I kind of feel like the Christ. There's this Christ sun, this blazing sun that isn't judgmental at all. In fact, it's deeply honoring. I imagine that in the light of the sun, which has that radiant, loving quality, that Mars, the divine masculine, our will force, our action, he's there in his humility. Like, he doesn't have to be the warrior right now. He is in the Holy of Holies, right? And then we have Venus, who is stripped down. The only thing beautiful about her is from her heart, not the accoutrement of necklaces and jewelry and makeup. Her beauty must shine through in her nakedness. And so in that vulnerability, both of them are there with the lion, the Christ, the sun. And they are seeing themselves for the first time in a long time. And they're in Capricorn, so they are taking stock of how far they've come. They're witnessing each other. They're acknowledging each other. They're feeling their own vulnerability, because inherent with Capricorn is Cancer. And Cancer knows its vulnerability. That's why it likes the shell, like protection. But they're without that protection. And Jupiter's holding down the fort over there in that Cancer part. Taking it all in. Yeah. Getting the rays from the sun and taking it all in. Because soon enough, friends, we're going to start living those seeds, and we are going to be surprised. And I think it will pass muster with that Pluto if we're really sitting in that purification with the Christ consciousness, with the allowance of those old desires, the ways that we compared ourselves in our success. And I am so guilty of all of this. And that's really been the gift of this second Saturn return, dying to all of that. I didn't know that it was a part of the map, but it's a part of the map. That your soul can't emerge when the personality is trying to control everything, because it wants life reflecting back how good it is. And when life is reflecting back your breakdown, and you make up a story of how bad you are because of it, you might be missing the point. And that was my journey. I missed the point until I didn't miss the point because the soul's work is honorable. So imagining this Mars and this Venus in that combustion of the sun, not being incinerated, but allowing its real, true magnetic glory to emerge. That's the higher octave, the higher vibration that we're talking about. And then that Mars and that Venus will begin its journey together, and they travel at different speeds, and then it'll break apart and they will go upon their journey. And Venus is going to be retrograding in the fall in Scorpio and in Libra with another Venus star point. And I really see her in her glory. I see the divine feminine as our internal ruler. Mars bows to her. Mars is in service to her in his highest expression. And maybe he lost the plot. And so he's coming back into relationship. We are coming back into relationship with our feminine, our masculine, our yin, our yang. And there are also some relationships right now, I need to speak to this before I end, that are completing. This is a completion signature. If you don't have the necessary foundations, or let's say the intrinsic compatibility on a soul level to continue, this would be a really good time to separate. But separating under this union, this divine union in your own heart, not leaving any parts of you out there fragmented, betrayed, abandoned. All of you gets to go forward, and new relationships get to form. Because in the new world, we will have many more types of relationships than we have had in a Pluto and Capricorn world. A Pluto and Aquarius world, we are going to invent entirely new ways of being with each other. I don't know what they are. We can see them in our movies sometimes as the collective consciousness gets mirrored on the screen. And I think it will come from the truth of each one of us. There will be something in there that knows, like, I can't do this, but I could do that. And we might second guess ourselves because holy shit, it's never been done before, or holy shit, it's not mainstream. But what if we start to listen? And what if we start to drop our defenses around having to have the outside mirrored back to us so that it says, oh, your personality is okay. You're okay. And we allow our personality to keep dying that death that it does every day if we are on the spiritual path. And then something new comes. It's part of the mystery. It's being created as we dream it. So let us conclude with this. It's a wild month. It's a really wild month. It's a wild year. I want to caution all of us out of idealizing 2026. Like it's going to be this and having a mental vision of what it is. I'll say more about that in the 7 threshold crossings, because it's not going to be that. We can pretty much guarantee that whatever you're thinking is not that. So beautiful. For those who joined on the death ceremony, goodbye 2025, it was super beautiful. And we'll have some more times where we gather together as a community in 2026 to witness each other. One of the signatures of Aquarius is community and group. So we're going to start to weave our gnosis in group space. And we're doing that here in the YouTube ether space. And I love and cherish your comments. So let's gather all the positive energy that we have generated here and let's beam it out. May all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts. Thank you.